Hey there, welcome to the first Patreon exclusive monthly update. We're going to talk about the new movies that are coming out on the streaming services, some things that are going away from streaming services that you might want to catch before they leave, as well as kind of wrap up the month of January, talk about the movies that we reviewed, whether we liked them or not, and look ahead to see what's coming out in February. So there's a lot of information that's going to be covered in this video, and video is not always the best way to convey lots of information or give you something to remember. So rather than ask you to take notes, I've created a page that has like summaries of all of the stuff that I'm going to talk about. You can see a list of all the movies and things like that. That URL will show up on the screen right here, and there is a password for it. Since this is a Patreon exclusive content, you'll get a password that will also appear on the screen. And so you'll be able to go and you can either watch the video here or you can watch the video inside of that page and then see all of the strategies and stuff that we're talking about listed out there. That way you can make your own lists and figure out what you want to see. So let's get started. First off, I want to talk about some stuff that's leaving Netflix. Unfortunately, in February, we're actually losing more stuff in Netflix than we're gaining. The list of new things didn't really have a lot of interesting stuff on it, but I found 5 that were good. But there's a couple of things that are leaving that might be worth checking out. Apocalypse Now and the Apocalypse Now redo that came out about 10, 12, 15 years ago maybe. That is leaving Netflix. There's 3 Batman movies, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin, that are leaving Netflix on February 1st. Now, you may be asking, why do you care about the like lesser Batman movies, especially Batman and Robin and Batman Forever? I recently rewatched those movies with commentary. There's a YouTube commentary by Kevin Smith on at least Batman Returns and Batman Forever. I think he may have done Batman and Robin by now, but at least those first 2 he has a commentary for, as well as the original 1989 Batman. So if you're a fan of Kevin Smith, he's a huge fan of Batman, and it's really interesting to hear him talk about how the movie versions, even the first one, even the Tim Burton one, has flaws, and there's things that, don't match up with what Batman really is supposed to be from the comics. It's a really interesting way to rewatch some of those movies, and honestly, it gave me a new perspective on Batman Forever. I actually like that movie quite a bit more now that I've kind of watched that with his eye for just what he likes and what he doesn't like about those movies. Red Dwarf, seasons 1 through 9 are being removed from Netflix, so hopefully you have time to watch all of that if you're into Red Dwarf. If not, I'm sure you probably have picked up a copy of it by now. Zodiac, Jake Gyllenhaal, Mark Ruffalo, and Robert Downey Jr. movie. Great movie, one of Gyllenhaal's first really great performances. He's been in a lot of good stuff in 2014. Definitely check that out before it leaves at the end of the month. Arbitrage is an underrated Richard Gere suspense thriller movie. I really enjoy that movie. I would recommend checking that out if you get a chance before February 1st. Dredd, the remake of, not the remake, a reboot basically of the Judge Dredd character with Carl Urban. That movie it's really, really good. If you haven't seen it, or if you saw the Sylvester Stallone one or something and thought, I don't ever want to see this character again, Dredd's a pretty phenomenal, fantastic movie. It's unfortunate that it didn't do better than it could have or probably should have, because that means there's unlikely to be a sequel to it, but it is a very, very good superhero movie. Very violent, a very R-rated superhero movie. I like it quite a bit. Ali with Will Smith is going to leave, and then Panic Room, which is a David Fincher movie with Jodie Foster. I believe it was the movie he did after Fight Club, but it's really stylishly shot. It's sort of this potboiler suspense movie. These people break into her house, and she has this panic room, and you sort of unravel the mystery of why they're after her and what's going on. Very interesting movie, very good one to watch, and it's an older movie, yes, but I like it, and I would recommend it. Okay, so what's new on Netflix? So all of that stuff that I just said, that's all going away. So this is your last week to get in on that if you want to watch it for free on Netflix. New on Netflix, it's really slim pickings. So the first movie I'm going to recommend is called GimMe Shelter. That one comes out right on February 1st. Stars Vanessa Hudgens as a single mom who ends up in a women's shelter. No one likes that movie, and I don't understand why. I really enjoyed it. I thought the performances were great. I thought the story was great. Vanessa Hudgens is really good in it. It has like a 1 out of 5 stars on IMDb. I don't get it personally, but if you're willing to take a chance on my opinion, I would definitely check out GimMe Shelter when it comes out. Joe with Nick Cage is another one that, if you're in the mood for that sort of thing, I would recommend it. It's very similar to Mud, the Matthew McConaughey movie, but Joe is about Nick Cage playing sort of a reclusive guy who ends up helping this kid and ending up protecting him from a bunch of dangerous stuff that's happening in his town. It's sort of a, one man against the world sort of thing. It's a gritty movie, but it's also very well acted, well shot. I enjoyed it quite a bit. If you're not in the mood for, a violent Nick Cage movie, then you probably wouldn't enjoy Joe, but I like it quite a bit. February 11th, Mr. Peabody and Sherman's coming out. That's a movie that came out last year. It's only, I don't think it's even been a year since it came out, so that's that's probably in the top 2 or 3 animated movies for me, at least last year. The Lego movie is definitely my number one. Peabody and Sherman, I really enjoyed it quite a bit. It's really well done. It takes some really tired ideas about time travel and things like that and makes it fun again. There's some great jokes for adults in that movie. Really enjoyed Peabody and Sherman. I would recommend it. February 26th, we're getting Russell Brand Messiah Complex, which is his latest show. I've seen that show before, and I kind of want to say it's on YouTube already. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of another one of his shows, but I've definitely seen Messiah Complex, and it's very good. It's very funny. If you like Russell Brand, you'll definitely like it. And then finally, the big one is February 27th, right at the end of the month. House of Cards Season 3 premieres, which the whole season will drop at once, which is how Netflix does their original series, so you'll be able to binge watch all of Season 3 at the same time. If you've not watched House of Cards yet and you have Netflix, I don't know what to tell you. You're missing out on one of the best parts of Netflix. But if you're new to Netflix or wanting to catch up, go right ahead and catch up, and then you'll be ready to go on February 27th when the new one releases. The other thing on Netflix, back in December, I think, all the episodes of Friends and all the episodes of Roseanne, or at least most of both of those, are out there. So if you want to watch all 8,000 episodes of both of those shows, you can do that. You can try and pinpoint the moment that Roseanne goes off the rails. The final episode of Roseanne is really good, but that last season is whew. And Friends, I've never cared for, but it's super popular, so now you got it on Netflix. Okay, on to Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime has a huge list of great new stuff. There's the ones that I will single out and recommend, and then I'll read you a list of other ones that are just, there's too many on the list for me to go through all of them that are worth watching. Wolf of Wall Street was a Best Picture nominee from 2013, came out right at the tail end of 2013, so that movie's only about a year old now. That one's out on Amazon Prime. Labor Day, one of the movies that I put in my sleeper hits of 2014. It's a Jason Reitman directed movie with Kate Winslet and Josh Brolin. Definitely check that out. It is a suspense thriller romance, and And it's another one that people just sort of didn't bother with, that I don't understand why it didn't become a bigger deal than it is, but it's a very, very good movie, Labor Day. The Hunger Games: Catching Fire, one of the most popular movies of 2013, is coming out on Amazon Prime. The Gene Wilder version of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. If your kids haven't seen that yet, time to put that one on. The Rover with one of my other sleeper hits of 2014, has Guy Pearce and Robert Pattinson. And before you freak out, yes, Robert Pattinson from Twilight is a really good actor in this movie. The Rover is very good. Great drama movie set in this sort of post-apocalyptic version of Australia. There's a mystery of why he's going through all of what he's going through just to get his car back. He's basically risking his life to try and save his car. And Robert Pattinson tries to kill him, and he ends up taking Robert Pattinson with him because they sort of form this uneasy alliance. It's a very, very good movie. Definitely check out The Rover. Under the Skin is another great movie that not a lot of people saw in the theaters, but it has this sort of... already it has kind of a cult following. There's people that really, really enjoy that movie. It's a movie about Scarlett Johansson's character. There's something weird about her. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but there's something very strange about her. She's seducing men and getting them into her van, and then they sort of disappear. And the movie is about trying to figure out what is going on. It's very confusing, and you sort of figure it out toward the end. It sort of starts to make sense. It has a very David Lynch style plot, but is shot in a very different way. It looks gorgeous. It's shot up in Scotland and up in the Highlands and the fog and all of that, and it's just a really, really beautiful, captivating film, but also very... there's just this sense of nervous energy and dread, and you can't figure out what exactly you're watching, what's going on. It doesn't hold you by the hand at all. So if you're looking for a movie like that, Under the Skin's one of my favorites for 2014. Nebraska is coming out. That is another 2013 Best Picture nominee. One of the more rare ones, or one of the ones that less people saw than the others. It got something of a resurgence when it got nominated, but it didn't play at a whole lot of theaters. So there's sort of, a couple weeks here and there where people could see it. So if you haven't seen Nebraska yet and you want to catch up on your Best Picture nominations from 2013, check that one out. In a World is a movie that I really enjoyed. It is about a woman that's trying to get into voiceover work in Hollywood. She wants to be the person that says "in a world" at the beginning of the movies. She's sort of competing with her father, who's also in that business. There's a bunch of people that do that job in real life that appear in the movie, either as themselves or as like really, kind of satired versions of themselves. It's a funny movie. It's really well done. I'm spacing on the lead actress's name, but I believe she wrote and or directed it, something along those lines. I think she wrote it and starred in it as well. That's another reason for the links, because sometimes my brain doesn't work. We need to talk about Kevin. That's a movie that if you have kids or are ever planning to have kids, it's kind of a hard thing to watch. It's about this kid that's just completely bananas. He's scarier than Damien in The Omen, just terrible to his mother. It's a tough sit. I won't lie to you about it and say, oh, it's such a feel-good movie, you gotta go check it out. No, it's really a well-told story with great acting and not something that you've seen before. The closest thing, actually, it kind of reminds me a bit of The Babadook, which is a movie that is gotten a lot of praise, for me included, as this sort of horror movie about a kid that's kind of like that. He's kind of terrible to his mom, and she can't deal with it, and but not to the extent of we need to talk about Kevin. So that's a good one to check out too. And then Ordinary People, the Robert Redford movie. It's a 4-star movie. Definitely, if you haven't seen that one yet, or even if you have, that's one worth checking out again. And then quickly, I'm going to read through. Now, there was like 114 movies that came out on Amazon. I narrowed it down to those ones that I wanted to mention for sure, but there's a few others that I'm just going to read off really quickly that I also think are call these a second tier of recommendations. Jack Ryan, Shadow Recruit, Snatch, Lawrence of Arabia, Swingers, Big Fish, Legends of the Fall, The Guns of Navarone, Breakfast at Tiffany's, Bad Grandpa, The French Connection, It Happened One Night, Airplane, Annie, the 1982 Alien Quinn version of Annie, Midnight Cowboy, Kingpin, Bottle Rocket, Philadelphia, Friday the 13th, and Manhattan Murder Mystery. That's a pretty stellar list of movies, and that's my second tier. Those are the ones that you probably would see and know that those are good ones, so I don't necessarily have to recommend them, but I did think it was worth mentioning them again. So that is the streaming list. Definitely check out the ones if you're a Netflix subscriber. Hit those ones that are going to expire before the end of the month. And if you're not on Amazon yet, now would be a great time to start with Amazon. It's a really great service. I enjoy the free shipping quite a bit, probably even more than their instant video service. So, yeah, that's the streaming side. Now we're going to talk about kind of January in review, and I'll tell you about the movies that I saw in January and whether any of those are worth your while. Normally, January is kind of the month where the studios send movies out to die. It's kind of infamous, and this year actually hasn't been that bad. The movies that we've gotten in January have not all been complete garbage. We didn't get like a Legend of Hercules this year or a Pompeii or something like that, but we got Mordecai. Mordecai is probably the worst movie I've seen in January so far. We do still have a week left as I'm recording this, so hopefully it won't get too much. We won't get too many bad ones in the last Friday. But we reviewed Unbroken, not so good. The Gambler is okay. Woman in Black 2, terrible. Selma was good. Taken 3, terrible. Inherent Vice, if you're in the mood, it's okay. If you're a big Lebowski fan, if you're okay with kind of just coasting through a movie, it's a fine enough movie to watch. American Sniper, we liked it. I'm really surprised that movie was an $80 million blockbuster smash, but it happened sort of with the right timing. It got nominated for Best Picture, which I don't get, but anyway, it got nominated for Best Picture and then came out in wide release like the next week, and there was really no competition for it, so it just smoked everything and did a blockbuster first weekend. Black Hat, it's okay, Michael Mann movie. The Wedding Ringer, I really enjoyed it. It's an R-rated comedy with Kevin Hart and Josh Gad. That's one that most people, or IMDb and Metacritic and those people, they don't agree with me on it. They think it's bad. I liked it. Foxcatcher, great movie. Also, not an easy one to recommend because you kind of have to be in the mindset of this is a movie that has a very, very slow story but has really, really great performances. That being said, it will have you on the edge of your seat, and it feels a lot shorter than the 2+ hours that it is. So I really liked it. Paddington, perfectly fine kids movie. Not going to set the world on fire. It's not the next Lego movie or anything like that, but it was perfectly satisfying as a children's movie. The Duff, we actually saw an early screening of The Duff. It doesn't come out until next month. And it's actually very good. We enjoyed it. It's a high school comedy about a girl who is the designated ugly fat friend, and she tries to change that. So there's that. Strange Magic is an animated Lucasfilm movie from a story by George Lucas, and it's actually pretty good. We didn't expect a lot from it. We were kind of worried when it said from the mind of George Lucas, but there's no one in refrigerators blowing up, or Jar Jar, or any of that kind of stuff. In fact, animation seems to work for George Lucas pretty well. It's the same studio that did the Clone Wars series, so if you've seen that animation, you kind of have an idea of what they're capable of. I thought the animation was gorgeous. Wasn't really fond of the use of pop music from the last 60 years. That seemed really anachronistic and strange, and it didn't really do much for me, but other than that, I thought the movie was a lot better than I expected it to be. I mentioned Mordecai already, worst movie of 2015 so far. And The Boy Next Door, which, truth be told, I'm seeing that tonight, so it's probably okay. You can look at the review and see what that one looks like. So I would say out of all the movies that came out in January, the one that I was most surprised by was probably Strange Magic. It was a lot better than I thought it would be. If I had to recommend something out of the list of things that we saw, probably American Sniper would be at the top of the list. Foxcatcher, definitely. And The Wedding Ringer, if you're in the mood for an R-rated comedy. I really enjoyed The Wedding Ringer. It's just silly fun. Coming soon, here's the movies that are coming out in the next month. This includes movies that come out on January 30th, because I am putting this video up a little early so that you have a chance to catch some of those Netflix movies before they come out. So we're almost into February, but there is one more week left with a couple of movies. So January 30th is Black or White with Kevin Costner. Project Almanac, which looks interesting. The Loft, which is James Marsden and Keith Urban, the same guy from Dredd, Carl Urban. And it's about a group of guys that have this loft apartment where they have affairs, and they find a murdered woman in their apartment. So that looks interesting. February 6th is Jupiter Ascending, which is a new Wachowski brothers movie. It has Channing Tatum and Mila Kunis, and has been delayed a lot. So it's going to be interesting to see if that movie actually is okay, or if it's still broken, or what's wrong with it, what's going on, why it took so long to come out. Seventh Son has been even longer coming. That movie, I think, was supposed to come out in 2013, maybe. It disappeared and reappeared, and it looks really bad. It's Julianne Moore and I can't remember who else is in it at the moment, but it looks like a Clash of the Titans, or it's from the same people that did 300 Rise of an Empire, the second 300 movie, which wasn't, that was just a CGI mess. SpongeBob Out of Water, that looks good to me. February 6th, that one's coming out. That looks interesting. It's 3D SpongeBob in a live action setting, and they're fighting against Antonio Banderas as a pirate. It could be good. It really could. February 13th, we've got Kingsman, which is the Colin Firth movie where he's training a kid to join this secret society of they're sort of like spies or that kind of thing, the Kingsman. We also have the theatrical version of 50 Shades of Grey, which I have no hope for. I'm gonna go see it, and I'm gonna be as nice as I can during the movie, and then we'll do the review. I have no hope that movie's going to be good. What We Do in the Shadows. I've actually seen this movie already. It was on some VOD service for a short period of time. It actually came out last year in New Zealand. If you can find this movie, check it out. It's probably one of these ones that's not going to be a very wide released movie, very mainstream movie. So you may have to wait for it to come out on, VOD. But it's essentially Spinal Tap with vampires. It's from the guys that did Flight of the Conchords. It's basically a documentary or a mockumentary style film about these 4 vampires that live together in New Zealand and all the shenanigans that they get up to. It's very, very funny. Very clever movie. I really enjoyed that. So, yeah, What We Do in the Shadows. February 20th, Hot Tub Time Machine 2. The Duff is also coming out on February 20th, which I talked about a little bit before. We actually have a review of that up there. It's a better movie than its trailer makes it out to be. The trailer makes it seem like it's going to be a really, just a yucky, poor body image movie, and it's not that at all. It's a much better movie than that. Mcfarland USA comes out on February 20th. That's another Kevin Costner movie. It's about him running a cross-country team in California. And then finally on February 27th, we get Focus, which is a Will Smith-led crime movie. He's a con artist, and he's teaching this woman to become a con artist and run a long con. It looks like sort of like a con artist version of Ocean's 11, that sort of thing. Lots of glamorous outfits and people saying cool things and Will Smith. So that's Focus. And that'll do it. That is the monthly update. So if you have suggestions, if you have ideas for how to improve this show or things that you'd like me to talk about on this, please let me know. And if you're watching this and you're a Patreon subscriber, which is probably how you got to this video, I really appreciate you and your support. I really appreciate you chipping in and being part of things on Patreon. You can find all the rest of our rewards and things at patreon.com/Dale Maxfield, and all of the written and video reviews get posted as we do them every week at dalemaxfield.com. So thank you very much for watching, and have a great month.